afternoon, everyone. I, Mudita Raj, Assistant Professor, Delhi Metropolitan Education, welcome you all to the 35th episode of the Vibrant India series. I also welcome all our viewers who are watching us live on Facebook. Vibrant India series, VIS, is an initiative of DME Media School for celebrating 75 years of India's independence. This series will be a year-long exercise. As a part of this series, we invite inspiring personalities for online talk, interview, and interaction with our students. The invited personalities for this series are from all walks of life and all parts of the country. And today, our special guest is Professor Manoj Kumar Sinha. I would like to take a moment and introduce Delhi Metropolitan Education to our viewers. Delhi Metropolitan Education, DME, is an A-grade premier educational institute affiliated to Guru Gobind Singh Indraprasth University, New Delhi, and approved by the Bar Council of India. The institute offers BBA, BLLB, and BBLLB with BCI approval and BA-JMC programs. DME believes in imparting world-class education to its students while training them to develop and enhance their skills. This education and training enables them in taking up challenges of the industry and creating a space for themselves with their competence and vigor. DME Media School is one of the most promising media institutes in the country. It offers BA in journalism and mass communication. It is recognized as a school focused on the growth of its faculty and students through academic and co-curricular activities. Major flagship events and initiatives of the school include the BG Varghese Guest Lecture Series, Peer-to-Peer FDP, International Film Festival, SIFI, International Conference ICANN, and Vritika, Convention of Media Students. And newly added to this list is the Vibrant India series. It is our privilege to introduce you to our guest, the personality of the 35th episode of the VIS. I now request Khushi Srivastav, student, DME Media School, to introduce our guest. Over to you, Khushi.
Thank you, ma'am. Professor Manoj Kumar Sinha is director of the Indian Law Institute. He completed his PhD in international law from the Jawaharlal Nehru University, LLM in international human rights law from the University of Nottingham, and LLB from University of Delhi. He has authored and edited number of books till date. These books broadly cover all aspects related with human rights, refugee law, international humanitarian, and constitutional law. His writings on international law, refugee law, and human rights have been published in reputed Indian and international law journals. He has been regularly delivering lectures at various institutions outside of the university, namely law colleges in India and abroad, UGC Academic Staff College, training program of the ICRC, and training program of Ministry of External Affairs. Let us see a few glimpses from his life.
Thank you, sir, for joining us today. It is indeed an honor to host you. I now request Professor Dr. Susmita Bala, Head, DME Media School, to welcome the guest. Over to you, ma'am.
Thank you, Mudita. Welcome everybody in episode 35 of Vibrant India series. We launched this digital program on August 9 in 2021 on the anniversary of Quit India movement. Vibrant India series is a tribute to all those people who made supreme sacrifices for the independence of our motherland. India will be completing 75 years of independence this year. We started celebration last year only. This program has been launched as a part of these celebrations. In the first episode of Vibrant India series, our guest was Brigadier P.K. Saxena, who served the country in 2 wars. Following this, Madam Bhavrin Kandari, a known environment activist, Professor Ujjwal K. Chaudhary, Senior Media Educator and Column Writer. Dr. Nakul Parashar, Science Communicator and Director of Vigyan Prasar. Dr. Monisha Behel, Social Activist from the Northeast. Mr. Rajesh Badal, Senior Journalist and Filmmaker. Colonel R.K. Durgan, Professor and Advisor at MIT School of Communication, MIT University, Noida, graced this program. To name the other celebrated personalities in the series, Mr. Ashish Kulkarni, the pioneer of animation industry in India. Madam Tripti is single and entrepreneur and a startup consultant. Captain Dhamveer Singh, a versatile personality and an army man. Madam Jyotika Kalra, a member of National Human Rights Commission. Mr. Sanjay Banerjee, a sport journalist and commentator. Mr. Augustine Bellet, communication specialist with UNICEF. Captain Indrani Singh, a pilot and entrepreneur. Ms. Vibha Lakhera, a social activist. Mr. Arvind Gaur, a theatre personality. Dr. Sachidanand Joshi, a writer and educational administrator. Lieutenant General Sanjay Kulkarni from the Indian Army. Dr. Gurmeet Singh, author and global Hindi educator. Squadron leader Prerna Chaturvedi, a veteran of Indian Air Force, our guest. Since the beginning of 2022, Mr. Shambhunath Shukla, senior journalist and column writer. Mr. Lakshmi Shankar Vajpayee, an eminent poet and commentator. Sufi Sayyid Azmal Nizami, custodian of Sufi Dargah Nizamuddin Aulia. Dr. Dev Aikut, media educator from the University of North Carolina in the US. Ms. Palvi Fauzdar, an adventure motorcyclist and social worker. Mr. S.P. Rawal, an entrepreneur and author. Dr. Mridula Tandon, doctor, social worker and entrepreneur. Mr. Virendra Kumar Gaur, retired Inspector General of BSF, and Mr. Ashok Pradhan, bureaucrat, educationist, and social worker. Dr. Mridula Seth, mental health advocate and social activist. Mr. Balendu Sharma, the Deepji, a digital media expert and advocate of Hindi and other languages. And Mr. Group Captain Ashok K. Chaudhary, an Indian Air Force veteran, and Dr. Saurabh Ghosh, a scientist in IIT Delhi, have graced this Vibrant India series. In the making of this country, we all play our roles as a soldier, doctor, engineer, as educator, journalist, lawyer, environment activist, social activist, a science communicator, filmmaker, as a human rights protector, sports personality, writers, lawyers, theater artist, mental health advocate, and promoter of Indian culture and language, also as a scientist. Episode 35, we have an inspiring Manoj Kumar Sinha, Director, Indian Law Institute. Welcome you, sir, and welcome to all of you present in this series. Thank you.
Our request Professor Dr. Ambrish Saxena, Dean, DME Media School, and creator of Vibrant India series to address the gathering and take the program forward. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Mudita. So it's a matter of great pride and privilege that today Professor Manoj Kumar Sinha is with us. And as it has been told already about this whole program, we have been trying hard to invite such illustrious personalities who could really inspire the students, because what we can understand about this whole Amrit Mahotsav or about the Independence Day celebration, that as an educational institution, our primary responsibility is to provide all that values, all those values, all that input, which could show them the right path and which can inspire them to do something good in life. And that is how we are here with this Vibrant India series. And I am really obliged to Professor Manoj Sinha that he agreed to be part of this program despite his busy schedule. And if I can tell something more about this program, we have designed this program differently. It's not merely a one-way talk kind of thing which normally happens in educational institutions. We have tried to make it more participatory, more interactive. So, Professor Sinha, I will request you initially to deliver a talk or to narrate about your journey with all those with all your achievements, which all those problems or the challenges that you faced, and with all your experiences and anecdotes, wherein the young generation, the students can find something to learn, and they can learn some lesson from that for 15 to 20 minutes, and that will be followed by a session, by a segment wherein I will be asking you certain questions, wherein I will request you to elaborate whatever you would have spoken by that time, and then we will make the floor open to the students, wherein they can ask the questions, even teachers can ask the question. So that's the whole format of the program. So to begin with, Professor Manoj Sinha, I will request you to please take the session forward and narrate your journey.
So thank you very much, Dr. Ambrish, Saxena ji, Mudita Raj, Dr. Susmita Bala, and on the top of the management of the DME college, like, affiliated to the GP University, Guru Nanak Dev University, IP University. So I'm really thankful that you thought about me and asked me to share my journey and on a very specific program which you have designed. As I can say that Government of India, University Grants Commission, Bar Council of India, all are pushing very hard to celebrate Azadi ka Amrit Mahotsav, 75 years of Azadi, which is going to be culminate in the next year in the month of August. That is the idea our Honorable Prime Minister has. And I'm very happy that you have taken a DME media school taken it very seriously, and you have designed a program in a very unique, I can say with the what we are witnessing, what we are saying. So people are doing just routine manner, but you have dedicated team, you have a well-designed program, and accordingly you are moving step by step, and today you have reached. So I'm the part of the 35th as a speaker on this particular program. I can understand it's not an ordinary task. So I would like to congratulate all of you for taking wonderful initiative. And I'm sure this sets an example for the other universities and colleges to follow in true spirit, the spirit which Prime Minister Sir wants India to follow and celebrate 75 years. People claim, but this is not the way it has been done. So congratulations to all of you, and particularly the DME Media School Initiative and all of you who are here associated with this program. Let me start with my journey, if I have to say, because I looked into your letter, and also it says you narrate about that. I don't want to share about the achievement. I feel the achievement and other things are the part which other people have to associate and recognize. I should not say I have achieved. So we have not achieved anything in a sense. This achievement part is the external people, they have to evaluate. The moment if I say I have achieved. But what I want to do and what I have followed, that is I would like to narrate. So in this process, which I feel that which motivates all of us, our journey begins particularly in me, in a small city. But a small city has also big potential. So a small city students should not use, which I feel very bad when they say, sir, I belong to a small city. So this is a disadvantage. A small city gives you a lot of values. It teaches you the social values, it teaches you the cultural values, it teaches you the religious values, it inculcates you in the respect to elders, respect to weaker sections of the people. So it's a very holistic. So what you learn in this small city, because it's a very integrated and people know each other, and you are also accountable knowingly or unknowingly. So not you are confined to your family members, uncle, mosa, nana, nani, and then also the entire society is you some way related to you. So even like, whether they are officially or unofficially, but they are related, and everyone has an interest in to know whatever reasons, but they would like to know what you are doing, what course you are there, how much marks you have got in the class. So you are always subject of some kind of scrutiny or evaluation in the small cities, which puts you in a alert position or always in a disciplined manner, because pata nahi papa's friend will ask me how much you have got in the maths. But that may not happen. That is not happening in the big city. You don't know your neighbor, who is the next in your building. So that makes you very some way causes you education is important. And what they are doing, they also want you to motivate some extent, that you are motivated, and sometimes they guide. So these are the advantage. So the moment somebody says there are a lot of advantages in the small city, and which makes you grounded, which keeps you always on the ground. You are never fly. You feel things will one move step by step. It also gives you an environment where learning of empathy, learning of compassion, learning of the discipline, learning of patience. You are not very in a hurry, because you see the society moves very slowly in a small city. People have not a big desire, but they have big aim in life, but not okay, I have to have a Mercedes. They want only a car. It's according to their resources and other things. So those values are very important, which helped me also. So I feel we should stop complaining about our background from the small city. What matters in the educational journey? A clear-cut vision. And vision, maybe sometimes you have ups and downs. What you think correct may not be correct, but if you continue to walk on that path which you have chosen carefully, you will find your way, and things will one by one, it will gradually unfolding, and then you will achieve what you have. You will moving that direction. I don't think we should fix an aim I have to achieve. I don't want good thing. So when I felt that I want to be a teacher, so it was not I have to. So that was the first aspiration. I want to be a teacher, which came to me little bit later. It's not immediately, because when you come from Bihar and Jharkhand, you always think about becoming an IS officer, IPS officer. So you want to be part of power system, political power, or bureaucratic power. So you want to be that. And that happened in my case also, but I realized ultimately limitations of power. So I realized limitations of power. If an IS officer, he has some years to be, but as a teaching profession, or even as a lawyer, or even as a doctor, it's a journey which you can always continue to walk. It never ends. A teacher is always available to the society. His teaching skill ends when he is no longer here. A lawyer can go to the court till he is capable to go to the court. So there is no ending of that. A doctor can always continue to function as a doctor, even if he is in the last day. He can advise you take this medicine or something. So certain professions have complete inning. One can play complete inning, from the day you started, it ends with when you decide to discontinue. So teaching as a professor, you always can motivate. And some way I have realized, and this realization has taken place when I was in the Jawaharlal Nehru University, and interaction with my teachers, not with the idea that teacher will give me something, but I try to understand their point of view and sharing. So teacher takes interest in a student when they interacts with the teacher, discusses with the subject. So other teachers also might see my teachers. Then I realized that they have also interest in me. They want me to grow in the field which I have decided to choose. Though I have not so you have to complete your MPhil, PhD, and then you apply. But those foundational years helps you when your colleagues, when your teachers, when your friends, they all support and find out that you are moving in a right direction, and ultimately sooner or later you will land in a teaching job. So teaching job, as I said, it has advantage. It has a great advantage when you go in the classroom and you see the young students. If you are teaching undergraduate students, you see a student just passed in a school, and they have with full of energy and enthusiasm in the classroom to know. we many times as a teacher, and that is the important thing as a teacher has to learn. What I personally feel, teacher has to be very compassionate. Teachers should understand the students, like, what their problem are, why they are not. And teacher has to also understand, focus on the last student of the class. Their teaching should start not with the topper. It should start with the person who is sitting in the last row of the class, and somewhere facing some challenges in coping with the classroom lecture, or like, overall in the course. So as a teacher, you can play very important role. You identify those vulnerable students and see that, you spend extra time, not only in the classroom, outside the classroom. It's a guardian. So teacher is a guardian. Let me put it that way. Teacher is another guardian, where parents, actual parents, have handed over their children. They're like, with the hope that teacher will save these young boy and girls days to come to become doctor, engineer, IS, IPS, or whatever vocation they decide to choose. So parents, like, and you spend, as a young boy of 3, 5 years, 6 years, he spends maximum time in the educational institute till he attains the age of 25 years or 23, 24 years. He spends huge amount of time in the educational environment. And through this, so in school, he interacts with the teacher, then college, he interacts with the teacher, in the university, he interacts with the teacher. So a person, a young boy, so this is a faith of the parents, who believes the educational institute will empower him. His educational institute will equip him the skill which he will survive. So we are fulfilling the aspiration, desire of the students and also of the parents. So we have to behave like not as an employee of the university. We have to also say we are the guardian of the students, and whatever the problem the student can share with their parents, they can also, so like, classroom teaching, and also like teachers should engage in the personal problem, if any, and try to help them, motivate them in genuinely. So they find that there are 2% where many times they will share something which they don't want to share with their parents also. So teacher has a greater role. We need to identify, and which I feel very important role, a teacher, all teachers, it's not the law teachers, I mean teacher in a whole, whether you are teaching media, whether you are teaching, because students, the migration is a common phenomena today. We are getting students not from the same city. We are getting students from far away places who have taken a rent, or who have taken a hostel, or somewhere they are staying. So their needs become much higher compared to the students who have parents and family members. So in today, because of the migration, students are also, after schooling, they go for the higher education, either in Delhi, Bangalore, Calcutta, or other places they move. So the role of the teacher is very important in there. Then other parts which I feel what to teach and how to teach in the classroom, which I have I'll discuss. But before that, I want to focus for a few minutes on the area which I have chosen in my career. So when I started and I realized which area I have to work on, later on, like I have working in the number other areas, and that too because of the students. So when I started, I always felt about the human rights. In the 90s era, I felt about the human rights area, and that those days human rights was a subject which was emerging in an Indian scenario in the educational institute. Though I was very close to the teachers and others who were great understanding in the environmental law, but I decided not to go for the environment, because somewhere I felt human rights is I belong to the human rights, and there I could have chosen two human rights. So if I have to attempt human rights are two dimensions. One as a human rights defender, who goes in the field, non-government, working in the non-governmental organization, taking matters before the Supreme Court, High Court on behalf of that. So there is a hardcore human rights lawyering. There's a hardcore human rights lawyering. Knowing well myself, I said, no, I'm not fit for the hardcore human rights lawyering. I belong to some other, the soft dissemination of human rights. So I realized my protest, I can't be very harsh. I can't speak or go louder in the court, go to the police. For various reasons, I thought this is not a human rights I want. So I chose a path which is very good. I can teach human rights. Before teaching, I have to learn human rights, and where I can motivate each student to understand the human rights. And if they are, even 4-5 students I teach in my entire journey, motivate them to continue in the human rights, I'm sure that will change, that will bring a lot of changes in the system, both in the professional and educational purposes. So I chose in the human rights field, and that is why after finishing my PhD, I did in the human rights. And then I went abroad also on a scholarship. I got luckily scholarship. I could have not managed to go to the UK, but luckily somehow, so I never planned. I think like, no, it has started working. So I said, sometimes you feel very down also when you go for the higher studies, a lot of challenges emerges. So you don't know what to go, your parental pressure for there. But anyway, I got the scholarship. I did the LLM human rights from the Nottingham University. I got a chance to understand the conduct of the senior teachers. There are a lot of things which shaped my understanding, my behavior, my personality. It's a, like, influence internal, of course, and also the external teachers whom I have interacted, whom I have been interacting. The way they conduct, the way they give time to the student, the way they interact, we have to learn, and I try to follow that. There is no hierarchy, there is no ego, there is no a special status. Everybody is treated, students are like teachers are same, always on the same platform, and they try to help and motivate. That I adopt, and that is the reason human rights I have chosen. Human rights is not like, the moment it's not necessary you have to learn human rights. You can also practice without going into the, so human rights is a good conduct. If I have to pay as a good conduct, how you deal with the human beings, how you treat to the each human being. It's not you have to say the Supreme Court judgment had said this. That's not required. Let the Supreme Court judgment to go to the for whom it has been delivered. But our conduct, if you enter in the classroom, or if you as a teacher of DME enters in the premises of the building, and if you say or spend a second with the first person whom you meet in the gate, that is the security guard, and with that faith, that security guard can ask something, you have managed to inculcate faith in the security guard, who can share something or say, sir, kaise hain aap? Otherwise, the security guard always salute you, and then you walk like, I'm a big person and he's a small person. So you encounter a discrimination on the gate of your building, where you feel discrimination is because of the status. Discrimination is because of the status. You are the teacher and he is the security. He gets 5,000, you get 50,000 or lakhs of rupees. So it creates some kind of division in the society. So we face the human rights approach in there. But as a human being, you say, they all are a human being. He is also performing. He has a dignity. He has a respect. He is learning, and you start giving him. You spend a second and say, good morning, ठीक हो ना? आप अच्छी तरीके से काम हो रहा है? तो like, yes, that makes a lot of difference. Then you enter in your building and your classroom when you see that somebody is coming to clean. So this is the way, and then you teach students also the same way. They are your own children. You never get agitated. Even if you get agitated, your next efforts to reconcile with your children, if you are very harsh to them and say कि बेटा मैं तो तुम्हारी माँ हूँ, बेटा तुमसे नहीं तो किससे कहेंगे. तो हम भी अपने स्टूडेंट के साथ हमें वही अप्रोच रखना होता है, चाहिए कि they are some they are there because of we are here and their parents believed in us. If they have a problem in education, they have a personal problem, we try to understand, not become over critical in that particular. So we can play very important role when we get. So human rights is practicing. I'm saying human rights learning is more in the practicing. Don't remember the cases of the Supreme Court of India, that when you go and teach in the class, you have to do that. Case Anand Bharati or ADM Jabalpur case, A.K. Gopalan, these cases, Sankari Prasad, Golaknath, that you in the class. But how you are following those cases, and that applies to each human being. When you are taking, you are teaching human being with dignity, with the respect, whether you're maid servant, whether it's the worker, security guard, and students. So we have to recognize, and practicing of human rights is there. That is the soft way. Each moment we can conduct ourselves is there. That is the important part, human rights learning. And I'm sure that we all are working, and a lot of changes has come there. I feel the another important point, which is already I have shared, it's availability. Availability, teacher has to make, which I emphasized in my discussion, teacher has to make available. And today, when the society is connected through the internet, you may get on a WhatsApp from the students, and sometimes you feel also disturbed. That applies to me also. कि क्या रात में कर दिए WhatsApp, sir, tomorrow class will be there, or I have some problem. So like that, but he has done with a faith in you. He has done. Other the moment he knows that this sir will take tomorrow my class, if I have said, like, why you have said? So, but he does, he or she has done, because he says, sir, थोड़ी सी हमारी बात का कुछ जवाब जरूर देंगे. Then so we have to, that availability is there. Now our availability has gone, not in the classroom 24/7. As a teacher, I feel personally increased. Of course, students are equally careful not to disturb, but some extra situation they find they have to. So we have to be responsive to their queries, their concern. We have to do it. We have to motivate students. It's not, I feel my students, when I teach, I feel I want to see them for the longer period. I never want to see them in the year they are spending in the university. A relationship which I has developed with my family, friends, similar relationship I want to develop, and I follow that with these students there. So they, even if 10 years back, after 10 years or 12 years, if they need 3 recommendation or 2 recommendation, so there's a gap, huge gap, university, out of the university, and they don't have anybody. If they come back and say, sir, you taught me in 2009, could you write a letter recommendation, I'm applying. So that trust, I say, okay, yes, even if I don't remember, I say, I taught you, I will write. So that is there. So I feel, it's not the year he spent with me. It's not 2009 to 2014, he was a student of this college. For me, from the 2009 to the last day, he was my student, and I should respond to his query. That kind of thing helps the student also is there. Just to conclude, I believe that I have mentioned a number of things. Today, when we go in the legal field, I feel personally a serious dedication is required. Any vocation, if you take, the challenges which you will find, will feel one by one, it will be go. But what is a determination? You think and determination to do well in life. You may succeed, you may not succeed, but you will never have a complaint, I have not given my 100%. So what we can give our 100%. Outcome is on the other factors also. But I believe, but you will never complain, I have not worked. I would if I was not sure, many of the students not sure after PhD where I'll be falling, where I'll get what kind of job. Had I not completed PhD, I would have always complained. But I have completed the PhD and other things also. So I, as an individual, continue to work whatever way I an opportunity appears before me. I take that one and continue to follow that. The same thing you all should. You should not think evaluate and say, if you decide which area you belongs, what are your go comfort zone, and you follow your your goal, your destination, or your aspiration. I'm sure one by one it will be unfolding before you, and what you will reach on your own destination. Yes. Never ever forget to remain as a normal human being. Power is not power. It's never assume that power is there because you are such and such person. Actually, power, chair has a power. Whosoever sits on that chair, that become power comes to him automatically. So if you touch the electric, so electric has shock you get. So whoever touches, so power is a chair has a power. The moment you are not there, other person comes, he assume that power. So what power we have? A human connect, we have a power. Humanitarian values, you have a power. If you have how much you have generated, Hindi mein jise kehte hain bhav, affection towards the other, this remains always, and people will remember you, people will admire you, people will pay you respect. With this, I end here, and once again I would like to thank Dr. Ambrish for giving a wonderful opportunity to share, which generally we don't share, Like, so you asked me to share something. With all the modesty, I tried to highlight, but still I feel very uncomfortable to discuss. But thank you very much, Dr.
Thank you, Professor Sinha. One important thing which obviously you would have also noticed, because you told us so many things with regard to teachers, responsibility, teachers' attitude towards a student, but at the level of the students, particularly at the bachelor's level, they are always in a fix with regard to their career. Even in media, there are so many diversifications, so they are always in a fix which way to go. And since you, referred your journey to from a small town, so may I ask you, how did you decide that you will be studying law? Why not other subjects? Because in any household, we find that children opt for different subjects and all, sometimes themselves, sometimes with the help of their elders, with the help of their parents. So how all did this happen to you, that you did decide that you will be studying law?
I think that has come a little bit later to my mind. As I said initially, also I thought about going to the civil services after graduation. So I thought to go to the after doing history honors, I thought to go directly to the civil services examination, and it was not there. But always I felt some way I always felt what your parents want you to become, what society evaluate, but certain profession has something longer period. And some way spark I got in the legal education while studying international law. Then I realized that there's an area, and the subject becomes your own subject. By reading one line, you immediately understand. And maybe because if you are the number 8, Sunny का भी कहते हैं अगर हिंदी में, तो if you see all the legal professions, either they are born in 17, 8 or 26, so Sunny का भी न्याय होता है, तो उनके साथ Sunny के भी रहते हैं, तो वो कहीं ना कहीं लगती है कि न्याय प्रवृत्ति. I always felt about the justice, justice is not the legal justice. So I always felt about what the poor person decide, deserve, that should be allocated to him by me. Whatever if he's working with me, then if he entitled to get 500, I should give him 500, not bargain. If I go to buy rickshaw, I should not spend time in there. So justice, some way, न्याय की एक होती थी. तो then I thought that this particular profession, but still I did not choose to go into the court, legal profession. So, but I realized that this is the some legal learning is required. It was also a number of times it occurred to me. I had good friends also in the court. So, but I realized, it's not going to, as I said, I identified hardcore and softcore. So I preferred the soft one, and I thought that is the reason. But I liked, justice were some way in me, and and that has motivated me to take the law.
Yeah, so Professor Sinha, you talked about justice, and in media also, the practicing journalists, they deal with this subject. As media teachers, we also deal with this particular justice, and if you link it with the law and justice, so what will you suggest? What exactly is the justice, and how can we make sure that justice is really delivered, given the legal framework in our country, given the Indian Constitution and the Indian conditions?
I think without going into the normative framework of the law, the media or media personals are a great source of implementation or enforcement of the laws. Even they don't write a particular section in the editorial notes and other, they mention some way, but not even the case, but they highlight that there is attention required, whether law has enforcement agencies have worked or not, whether court has done justice or not. In many times they follow a particular issues and say that justice has to be. So media's role is immense in the strengthening the legal system of the country. Media's role, because what we are seeing, number of cases, if you take an example in recent cases, in some cases in West Bengal, some cases in other states also, these cases are highlighted because of the, not only now the media nature has changed, now also online media, social platform, lot of things in a second, we get information and media follows later on. So like, information incident happens in a second by somebody recorded, it goes online, viral, and next day it comes into the more detail there. So we have the media's functioning has changed, and all individual has become alert citizens. So alert citizens, and they report. Of course, when it comes to the law or legal judgments are like concerned, media plays very important role in highlighting the lacunas, the how to empower the poor, weaker sections. So it represents, like, who will, the court has done on its own way by coining the public interest litigation. They said anybody can do, anybody, even the, like, if I say Sheila Barse is the journalist, like 1986 onwards, in the rights of the child related number of cases, how Sheila Barse played very important role. And that is the reason we have very strong mechanism dealing with it. So Kuldeep Nayyar, there are a number of cases they have gone to the court. There are like Arun Sori, like common, like, so if I name many journalists, they have not only by rating, but also represented, went to the court to see that things are there. So both ways, media's contribution are huge, and it has increased tremendously. And even judges are conscious, like, where they say we don't see because like, the temple is there, the like lodge is blind, but that is not. Lodge are very open today. They are concerned if I write something or something there, they do, like, of course, adjudicate the matter, but that's directly or indirectly some influence is there from outside also, and they are also very conscious to see. They make them alert, injustice should not be done or something wrong not happen. By my judgment, I have to be very carefully, and that, like, and we have number of examples. And today also, like, what is happening in Ukraine and Russia, you just imagine, without the media, every day I go back home and I don't know, ask my any senior teacher ki bataiye aaj kya hua hai wahan. I go and open. So I tried France. I started looking in the France 24. Then I look into Al Jazeera, has very biased. So I always avoid. Then I look into BBC, CNN. Then I look into the Indian media. So Indian media has a different way of interpretation. Even a woman who is very short, but there's like everybody start sorting on a top what, like, okay, world is falling or something. So some way, so I feel where I get information, not only the, like, big picture about the kitne log mar gaye. So media plays very important, and that helps me to discuss with you what is the situation, ground realities, what NATO is doing, what Biden is doing, what, like, war crimes, genocide, many things we learn through the media, not through the law. I know the law, but media plays very important role, which European Union is working, NATO is thinking about. So all information I got through the media, and law, of course, I apply, but media has a very important role.
Yes, Professor Sinha, one thing more I would like to ask, since you are at such a senior position in the spectrum of law and law education, and obviously you are in a position where you can be instrumental in one way or the other in bringing some changes in the legal framework of the country and bring some improvements. So at your level, what do you feel, any one thing that you can tell us, any such thing that you feel, any improvement that you feel should be brought to the Indian legal system to make it more pro-people, more people-friendly?
I feel personally, like, we have multiple laws. We have a constitution, we have series of statutory laws, we have number of laws, and time to time it has been amended. Sometimes we are involved, sometimes other people are there, sometimes judges are involved in changing or everything. The only thing, like, if a legal system, we have to say, the first is justice has to be expedited. The delay in a dispensation of the cases. So now, like, because of the COVID, prior to COVID, it was 302 cases, more than 3 crore cases. And today we have more than 5 crore cases. So in 2 years, 2 crore cases. So some way delay is affecting the one. Second, access to justice. Access to justice, though, like, no, we have Article 39A, we have National Legal Services Authorities Act. But when it comes to the poor people, I believe that they are, because of lack of resources, they are not in position, they are not getting to justice. So some way, the purity of justice is not achieved. If a poor person is represented by an unqualified lawyer or qualified lawyer but not very good, and against the rich person, if he's like, rich person has committed a crime, he can bring the top lawyers of the country. So what kind of justice will be there? If person, like one hand you have a poor victim, on the other hand you have a rich accused, and both cases are there. So I see those are the challenges. So access to justice is major. Delay has to be addressed, access to justice, and I believe that we have to also work. Alternative dispute resolution, ADR system has to be strengthened in India, which government is doing. Some changes is there. Mediation, arbitration, both have to be more effectively used to reduce the court burden. And I hope that these things are going to. And the last point which I have in the mind, enforcement of the judgments. Some way enforcement is the remain a big issue. It has not been properly enforced. There is a gap in the what court says and what has what happens in the ground reality.
Thank you, Professor Sinha. Now there are 3-4 students who want to ask you some questions. Shiksha, are you there?
Sir, actually, when a small town boy move into a big city, he have to face several challenges. And for study, you move to a new country. So I want to ask the challenges you faced while studying abroad and how human rights are different in India and UK.
So not much challenge, because when I was in the JNU, and some way so when you get a chance to interact with, so like suppose you are studying in DME and then you have chance to interact with the people from Meerut and people from Delhi also. So after sometimes you will realize that you are, and if you are belonging to Meerut, you will say that there's not much difference. We are artificially created, and people are nice whether they belong to big city or small city. So when you interact in the classroom, you find a student from Mumbai is a good friend of mine. He never discriminated, I belong to. So there are this kind of system. If you work and you learn, this gap remains deeper. If you don't move, you always studied there, you never move from the city, small city to big city, that will always some kind of complex will develop. Okay, when you have presenting a paper, you are just there to present a paper in seminar, then you will say, okay, I could not perform because I was from this particular place. But when you move from that particular place and it came into the another institution where students from all parts of the country, that initial complex will gradually wiped away, and then you will feel you have equal strength, and maybe sometimes you feel you are better equipped. Then I have to, it's only how much you read. If you read, you will perform well in the examination. So examination is blind, so you write well, you will get. It doesn't see that who has written from Delhi and who is from Meerut. So number will be, so how you learn and how you write your answer, that which will blindly judging you. So that is the in going abroad, I did not face much, because, and that is why I tried to live in a place. So some we offer there hostel, then I chose a place where I deliberately did not stay with the Indian or Pakistani students, because that is the preference in the Europe. Once you go, then you start looking for the Indian मिल जाए उसके साथ रहेंगे तो चावल दाल और जो खाना है खाते रहेंगे, आराम से बनाते रहेंगे. But I thought if I'm there for the abroad, I should understand the other culture also. So we took a house where one person from Romania, one from Ghana, one from the England, and one also I feel Bulgaria or some 5-6 people, but 5 different countries, their nationalities. We shared the flat, but and I noticed that my bonding with everyone was fine, because I generally say hello to everyone, so some way it's working. But concern for me, so African friend was very good. We used to cook a lot of foods, and he actually British Ghanaian, so he has a house in London. He used to bring a lot of food, so we share some commonalities. I say they're Afro or Asian, African and Asians have some bonding, much closer, and there is just some kind of superiority complex in the part of the Europeans or Western, that those days were there. It still is there, but some kind of you feel very subtle manner, but you have to ignore. And in the university system also, this kind of subtle kind of the discrimination, or you may feel it's not very prominent on there, but you may feel there are some kind of discrimination exists in this society, which is there in India also. I'll not say we are completely perfect, but there are some kind of subtle discrimination you pay. But these are very, but you have a lot of good people, and teachers are excellent. Teachers are excellent, and that I said in the beginning, I learned whatever I'm there because of the teachers who taught me for a year or half, and that helped me to shape and understand.
Yeah. So moving on, Jyoti Mishra, would you like to ask question?
Sir, my question is, how can we as a student fight the biases with respect to stereotypes related to dignity of labor?
That you have to so I said, you don't need to learn constitution, you don't need to learn anything. So some things which we have, some things you're born. So some is a attitudinal problem is something which is you can assess yourself, when you just stand in front of mirror and you say, okay, what kind of person I am. So you feel, I have some attitude, I have arrogant, I walk in this way, I have wealth, or some personal there. Sometimes you feel, I have everything, but these things are immaterial. How I behave with the people, how I said, so this biases, you have to do that. I can't I can't help you, because ultimately you are the person. These are the personal level biases or the society, and in fact you can play bigger role. When suppose you talk to somebody, many times I have seen girls, particularly when they're very caring for the in the Jawaharlal University, in a dhawa and others, giving dignity to the bhaiya kaise hai, at least they will better how to treat the animals, dogs or sabiko. So you have already there, you have to overcome with these kind of the certain things which comes with attached with the wealth and position of parents. Lot of things come directly from there. If you keep that thing aside, I don't need to disclose. I have to see how I am evolving, and I have to give dignity to everyone. I'm sure if we all start thinking on that line, the society will be more like in a Western society. And I'll give you an example. The second place where in Sweden I was there. So first then I landed in December, in the Christmas party. The lady which cleans the 5 o'clock morning, cleans the toilet every day. And I saw her every day. She used to come and clean, but that toilets and everything was perfectly fine, 100% dedicated work, they do in the world-class work also. So whatever the profession she did. And same time in the evening, that was the shock of my life, that in the evening we had Christmas party. The same lady who cleans the toilet, sitting next to the director of the institute, and we both were talking, and hello, so how is your son? And they're so this you can never ever imagine in India. So toilet cleaner, so say, wo to toilet dhoti wo kaise? Or some mein sari staff, not me. So for me it's complete a different kind of there. But every staff, students, teachers, shaking hand to her, and then nobody discriminated. That's unbelievable. So I said, this is the way. So they have learned, they Westerners have learned, it's a dignity of the labor. It's not the what you are doing or everything. So that, but that individual level has that.
So moving ahead, Vinayak Yadav is there to ask the question. Vinayak, ask your question.
Yes, sir. So, sir, you have a great knowledge about human rights. So my doubt is that the human rights is only an issue in non-constitutional countries or in constitutional countries also. And my second question is, what can someone do if he's violated, his human rights are violated?
So first country, if what is important, whether you have a constitution or not the constitution, the most important thing which I think for the protection of human rights. So who will protect your human rights? A state will protect your human rights. Who will defend your human rights? A state will defend. That is, the state has a job defend your human rights, whether it derives its mandate through the constitution or through the institution state has created. Like UK doesn't have the written constitution, but it human rights is protected there. So it's not necessary, but constitutional principles are important. Rule of law, independence of judiciary, democracy, freedom of press, freedom of speech and expression, respect to, if these values are in the society, whether constitution is there or non. Even a country like constitution is there, Russian constitution is there. But what he has done, he has, because we never objected, he molded the constitution according to his interest, a larger game which Putin is part of that. In 22 years, he created a Russian which has come out from the communist era. Again, he took it autocratic. So he assumed all the powers, he changed the constitution. So even having constitution, it doesn't serve the purpose like a constitution. So entire power he has accumulated and put Russia in a very difficult situation is there. So that example. So you have a constitution in Myanmar, then this is a military government. So autocratic government, military government, or other governments are dangerous to the human rights, because these principles which I have highlighted. So constitution, if is there, if there is a limitations of power of in each institution is there, I'm sure that society will respect the human rights that is there. We don't need to go in the constitution and non-constitution. Even the constitution, there is a problem. Non-constitution, there is a problem which we have. What is important? Rule of law is very important. Independence of judiciary is there. People's participation is very important in there. The third, as you said, the second, in case of the violation of the rights, where people will go. If rights without the remedies, it's a useless. If you have rights and no remedies, and that is why we have constitution, we have rights and we have remedies. So in Indian scenario, of course, we go to the Supreme Court and High Court. And I see case still not everyone will go to the court. What sir I told in the beginning also, that is the constitutional guarantees are you go to the court. A large number of poor people are not in a position. They suffer even in India. They suffer a lot and nobody is there to take care of. You have right to education as a Article 21A of the Constitution. The moment you open your door, you will see there are a lot of children not having any education. So there is a failure. In the pandemic, we have Supreme Court judgment, we have constitutional provision, but right to health, particularly in the same time in the last year, it was difficult to get admitted even for the richest person in the hospital. So we have exposed on number of things. You just see poor people will just accept the reality and see that their parents died because of the cancer, because they don't have resources. There are a lot of challenges there. The constitutional remedies, judgment is not sufficient. It has to be implemented in all the level and things will improve.
Thank you, Professor Manoj Sinha, to spare so much time for us and to interact with us and with our students on so many varied issues. And if I'm allowed to sum up the whole session, there are so many things that we all have learned, and the teachers, particularly the role of the teachers, the responsibility of the teachers, you defined in so many clear expression. And then all good teachers, I believe, follow that, and it's really an reinforcement of the values that we already try to follow. And particularly your human rights is your area of expertise, so there also we got to know so many things, right from our own conduct and the way we carry ourselves, the way we believe in the dignity of labor. The kind of example that you gave just now was obviously an eye-opener to everybody, because in the Indian settings, we ignore a lot of such things wherein there are Western values which are handy and which we should try to use in our lives. And particularly about law, the interesting things that you talked about, the problems that Indian legal system has, the delay, the access, and then the ADR that you talked about, and the enforcement of judgment. These are the four things that I have noted down for myself to always remember. And then finally that you were talking about the rule of law, which is so essential in a democratic setup, and the rights and the constitutional remedies that you talked about. So it was such an enlightening experience for us all. We are really grateful to you for giving so much to us in this session. Thank you from the core of my heart, and thank you to all the students and the teachers who are there in this session. Thank you.
Thank you everyone.
The first impression that comes to our mind about any college: tall buildings, big classrooms, large lobby areas, thick books, IT labs, assignments, class tests, and projects. Nothing besides that. Every hour, minute, second spent here help us carving and shaping our persona, cultivating innovative mindsets for the challenging world. Learning is a lifelong process. Sharing knowledge, inculcating values of life, spark the innovative horizons of mind. Fun and frolic is the nature of every nook and corner here. A daily dose of thrill we are sure to get here.